So as we delve a little bit deeper into this whole topic of social media and the strengths that each platform has, let's talk a little bit about your opinions on stories versus reels versus photos. Of the three, which one do you think is the most beneficial for businesses to be using?
Reels.
Reels?
Yeah.
Reels over stories.
I gotta be real. It's gotta be the real.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Why is that? That was easy.
You were holding on to that? Or
No,
you
that just came to my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, that was insane.
So why, though?
Maybe I can do things on cue.
I like it.
Yeah. Why? Short form content is, it can be informational, it can be educational, it can be used as an advertisement. Mm-hmm. You know, if you do a short, minute long talking head video to promote an event you have coming up, like there's limitless ways to form content for Reels.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, stories are like, I think that the majority of platforms have stolen that story format from Snapchat. And that is a very powerful platform. There's an anonymity to it. There's privacy to it where you can be more vulnerable. But yeah, I'm going to have to vote for Reels. I think Reels, just the flexibility of Reels, it obviously reminds me of TikTok. I think Reels have so much flexibility in terms of like the length that you can post, the style. And I love the fact that with all of those things added together, you can also take up the entire screen. And that's one thing that I don't like with photos, is that photos you always are limited by trying to maximize the aspect ratio of each different screen. Whereas with video, as long as you're shooting it at least in 1080p, you've got the flexibility to kind of reframe it later. Even within the platform, you can as long as you leave some white space around whatever you're filming, you can, make it cover the entire screen and it still looks good. So yeah, I would say stories or Reels as well. A slight edge.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. Reels are more dynamic, attention getting, it's moving, and you can utilize all those things we talked about. You can put a photo in a reel and just add music to it. Right. Mm-hmm. You can pause it, and it fits on all the platforms. Right. Yeah. So reel, you can have that on Instagram. You can have that on TikTok. You can have that on Facebook. So it works on all the platforms as well. So yeah, that's why I like.
You can really utilize getting the message out there. Yeah. For whatever business.
Interchangeably used too. Mm-hmm. Between Instagram and TikTok, those reel or whatever, people post it there and post it there. It's all just the same.
One thing I loved about stories, especially when it first broke out, was the ability to put an external link in there, and that is a feature I think should make its way to Reels if Reels is going to be as powerful as a marketing tool. Because the ability to click on external links is a really fun feature, and it just opens up a whole lot of possibilities. I know that Instagram, for example, they like to try to control where people go and being able to track that, and so they like to use like the merch option on there, the ability to merchandise or productize your page. Which is, I think, an upgrade. You have to upgrade your account to be able to access that feature. But I think, again, going back to TikTok, that's a feature within TikTok where you can just be scrolling and it's just injected into the content that you're consuming. It'll just kind of pop up on the screen. You can click on that external link.
Oh, like those commercials they have with the Shop Now button at the bottom of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like people are making actual commercials on TV, like with a TikTok vertical format. That's like you have all this black space on the sides or whatever of the 16 by 9 video, and it's just like this strip of a TikTok because this has been such a phenomenon.
Popular. The other another point about stories that I see them mostly used as is for reposting events and promoting events. So I mean, I do think it. I mean, you can promote events through Reels as well in short form content, but just a snapshot of the graphic that's like, hey, you know, our fashion show is on Saturday. It's 4 days away. You know, be there. Bam, on a
Is
story.
this a shameless plug for an event you have
This
coming
might be
up?
a shameless plug for an event at the Culture House this Saturday at 6 p.m. in case you want to go.
That's what's up. So yeah, I think, you know, when we talk about social media from a standpoint of marketing styles, there's all different types of content that you can put out there. You mentioned being able to post videos and then add music to it, or any kind of audio in the background. You mentioned being able to do long format and short format content. You mentioned all of these different things. From a business standpoint, in your experience with using these different platforms, which one do you think is the best for like running a campaign? Do you think that people should be investing in, you know, a 6-month, 12-month campaign? Is that something all businesses should be doing? Is that for a specific group of businesses? And, you know, how should they approach that? Should it be something that they try out on their own? What's your advice on that?
Yeah, as far as like campaigns, as far as like costs, it's probably the lowest cost to run a campaign versus like traditional advertising, like radio or billboard and things like that. So if you want to dip your feet in doing like a marketing campaign, social media is a good place to start for low dollars. Now, depending on what your goal is and, you know, what product or service that you sell, like whether you know, should be using social for that, it just depends. Like retail, great. All right.
Are smartphones good enough for a person to just like whip out their phone and start doing their own marketing, or should they be buying, you know, high-end cameras and that type of thing?
Yeah, I don't think it requires the high-end cameras. Not for, if it's specifically for social media. I think the phones now, I mean, gosh, that new iPhone, I've seen some people just start shooting content when it's pretty good. It does the job for a social media campaign. Now, if it's moving beyond that, yes.
Gotcha.
But you do need to have some type of strategy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where we come in.
Right. Yeah, that's where you hire a professional. I saw that the latest Apple event was filmed entirely with the iPhone. Did you guys see that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
For the new MacBook M3?
I was watching those religiously. But
Yeah, they kind of quietly slid that one out there, I felt like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw something. I know they just released a black version of the 15-inch MacBook Pro, and it's got the new M3 chip in it. I think that computer is a marginal upgrade from the last one, but it seems like a lot of the conversation about the event is just about the fact that they shot that whole thing with the iPhone, and it's like, wait, what? I was just watching the iPhone. What is going on?
That's pretty incredible.
So yeah, maybe we all as a team could go kind of take some footnotes from that, because it's like, if Apple's that confident in the codec, the resolution, the ability to move the colors around as they're editing the footage, yeah, what can an amateur person do if they have good lighting and they have a good story. Now, I would even say, to piggyback off of what you're saying, you could have a great story and still not have a good brand campaign. So, what are some of the pain points that you see with these types of social media campaigns? Because you've done a lot of the content production for several clients, big name clients that we have here in town. I'm not going to name names, but dealing with those, are there any pain points or things that you think people can improve upon?
Gosh. You know, the thing that I feel like I need more of is
Her mic not working?
No. She keeps going like this.
Don't tap the mic.
I'm sorry.
That might actually sound kind of interesting.
Yeah, right. It's like a song.
It's a bitty spider.
You know, I would have to say that like our campaigns that we've ran have been pretty successful. The thing that I could get more of, where I have pain points, is getting content from the companies that we're working with. And the type of content that I'm looking for is that relatable content, is that personal content, that the patient testimonies, the home buyer experience stories, the property purchases and interviews on who's purchased those properties. You know, just for a few examples, I feel like that just enhances a campaign to another level, because you tend to get more interaction with your average viewer that way than, say, when I'm just making your basic weekly routine graphic
Right.
and posting educational information. I also think the educational information is very important too, because like we want to educate our viewers on like what the company has to do with, or you know what their mission and values are, or you know, for healthcare topics, you know, what months we're talking about, like Alzheimer's month and breast cancer awareness month, and tips on how you can stay healthy and whatnot like that. So I think that all that's just as important. I just think that having that relatable content can take you just that much further in your campaign.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say I look at it two different ways though when we're talking about social media. Like you can run like a campaign that specifically has, you know, one goal. Like maybe it's, you know, you have job openings to hire, and then there's just consistent brand awareness that you're doing, where people come to get, where you're adding some type of value. They learn about what you do, but also you're sharing valuable content for them, and just staying in front of them or being a resource for things that they need.
Okay. So it sounds like companies really are not investing enough in creating feature-rich content that's relatable, that connects, that their audience will resonate with. They have the campaign, they have the design elements, they have a somewhat of a strategy, but there's not enough content to support the messaging that they're trying to put out.
Essentially.
Gotcha. Okay, so clients, customers, people who are trying to market businesses, level up your content. This is a professional content creator and marketer here telling you for free what you need to do. Let's go ahead and switch subjects to a couple of lighthearted things that we have here in front of us. I'm going to pull this up on my screen. I want to get you guys' take on this. Sony just announced the new A9. This is Sony A9 III. And as of November 7th, This is the 10th anniversary Alpha Series camera. This particular camera, the A9 III, is a real leap forward in terms of technology because it has a global shutter. And for those who don't know what a global shutter is, essentially a global shutter enables the camera to sample the sensor, the entire sensor at the same moment. So in traditional cameras, it does an actual like scan of the sensor. So most sensors will scan from top to bottom. And so if you have any motion in your shot, let me go ahead and just pull up global shutter so you guys can see this. In a traditional camera, what will happen is you'll get like some warping in the image because what's actually happening is as the sensor is being scanned from top to bottom, the motion has affected the position of things within the shot. So not to get too technical, but for a camera at this price point to be able to do this, this is a feature that used to only be available in like super high-end cameras, you know, $20,000, $50,000 cameras. But now it seems that Sony is bringing that feature to a camera that, let me see what the price is, under $5,000 for this camera. So as we talk about cameras, we just mentioned different camera technology in terms of, $5,999, so $6,000. But as we talk about camera technology, and each of us is shot with different cameras, right? What would you say is like a feature in a phone or in a camera that really made a difference for you? You know, whether that be autofocus, a certain type of lens, being able to shoot in low light, being able to shoot with, you know, SD cards. What would you say is like a feature in a camera that you've used that really like pushed the envelope forward for you with content creation? Let's start with Teddy.
Just one?
Any feature, yeah.
Oh, yeah, autofocus, fast autofocus, especially when, you know, shooting events, you know, people moving really quickly, and being able to find those people and lock in. Even like with the A7S III, like it'll do that with two, you know what I'm saying, two people. Lock in on them. They don't go out of focus. I'd say that's a really good, you know, good feature. But
Yeah.
low light is great too.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you get in some environments, you don't know what you're walking into. Different rooms have different, you know, different lighting.
And you've shot with Canon and Sony. And they both are like touted to have the best autofocus. Which one would you say is better at this point?
It's been so long since I shot with the Canon, I don't even remember the autofocus on it. So I don't know, I'll just say the Sony.
Sony?
I like the Sony.
Okay.
With the Sony, I never look back.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people say the Canon dual pixel autofocus is some of the best on the market. Obviously, you know, Canon is well known for its color science right out of the box.
Color is good.
So, you know, it's not a clear cut as it used to be with Sony making the leaps forward, but I still think Canon has a place to be respected. But yeah, you've used Canon as well.
And Nikon. And Sony.
I'm more Nikon, Sony. I haven't used Canon as much, but you've used all three, so.
I can tell you my differences between each, and the Nikon, the color grading, I won't shoot with a Nikon because of the color grading.
Ouch.
It's so blue. And I like when I'm white balancing photos, like I like that control. I like that I can take it, cool or warm in that. But when I am shooting my photos in a camera, I like the warmth of the Canon shot. The thing that bothered me about the Canon was the focus points. And granted, I wasn't using your brand new mirrorless Canons. I was using, it was like the EOS 3 or something like that. Its point of focus was so much smaller unless I took the f-stop up high, that I would end up with parts of faces blurred if I didn't set it exactly right. And so there was so much settings that I had to have perfectly in the environment perfect to get that crisp shot with the bokeh in the background like I wanted to. When I switched to the Sony, I was able to have that, like with he talked with the autofocus, where it tracks where the faces are on the screen, and it has the little green, the
beautiful green square.
Yeah, the beautiful little green squares that I love, and that's what made me ultimately like go all Sony.
Okay,
was that just right there? Like it was enough for me.
Okay.
Hey, maybe I'm not like Miss Superstar photographer. I don't know the answer on that. Like there's probably those Canon superstars out there that can get that perfect shot. Me, where I'm at in my photography journey, it was the Sony all the way.
Interesting.
I don't know if my memory serves me right, like the battery, how long the battery lasts?
The battery doesn't.
Battery in the A7. Oh, okay. A7S3. It lasts a good while.
Yeah, I know they upgraded the battery somewhere around the A7 III mark, and it really has been a lot better from the Sony side. Canon, again, I haven't shot a lot with Canon. I started on Nikon when I bought my first camera.
Yeah.
It was a D5200. I remember
That's
it.
old.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, that's sweet.
I shaved my gray hairs off, guys. All right, I've been doing this for a little while. But I loved the features you got for the money with Nikon. It wasn't about color necessarily, but it was about, the features that I got. Switching over to Sony was really about the hybrid game for me, and having that ability to shoot photo and video at a high level.
Yeah.
Canon was always out of reach price-wise for the features that I wanted until I got into this professionally, and I just never was able to play around with it. I also felt like a Canon was built for right-handed people, and I'm left-handed. Everything was like counterintuitive to me, like trying to navigate it. And Nikon, I felt like, was either more ambidextrous. I don't know how ambidextrous.
How do you say it?
Ambidextrous. But I just like the layout. The one thing I don't like about Sony cameras is the menus. There's so many sub-menus.
There's so many sub-menus.
The name of the game with Sony cameras is that custom menu. If you're not customizing your menu layouts and your shortcut buttons, you are living in misery. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any of those in there. After a while, you kind of figure out where everything's at, but the menu.
You're better than
menu
me.
is wild.
There's a lot of
I can't remember where anything is.
Yeah, I know where the stuff is at now.
I still got to search for where I formatted every time I turn it on.
Every time. I
feel like though it's easy. It's easier to find on the A7S III for some reason.
The menu is more complicated now.
Yeah.
There's more in there, but it's more layers to the newer cameras.
You know what else I like? On the Sony that I didn't have on the camera or on the Canon was the detachable back screen that I could flip out and spin, and it's not like a high level need or anything, but it was always just like a nice extra little feature.
You can flip all the way around.
Flip over.
Yeah, if you're taking your own photo on the timer.
Right.
It's great.
I love that.
The A9 has both an articulating screen and a flip-out screen, I saw.
That's nice.
So
is it touchscreen?
I would imagine so. At that price, it is touchscreen.
I would hope so.
My A7 IV is touchscreen, so I'd imagine a higher-end one should be touchscreen. My favorite feature, yeah, I think everybody's made great points. My favorite feature on a camera is probably the leap forward with zoom lenses was really the game changer for me. And it all started for me with the Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8. That is still one of my favorite lenses of all times.
Wide angle, really?
The 18 to 35 was an APS-C lens, but you could switch between Canon, Sony, Nikon, and Panasonic with the mount. You just swap out the mount on the back, and the same lens will mount on any of those. But the thing that I loved about the 18 to 35 was that you had a constant aperture all the way through 18 to 35. And I think there's a lot of stigma about prime versus zoom, and there's a lot of discord there. We don't have to get too heavy into that, but being able to have an 18, a 19, a 20, a 21, a 22, all of those essentially prime lenses, some people will argue that they look different, but we're splitting hairs in terms of image quality. The G Master lenses, you know, I have the 24 to 70 f2.8. We have in the shop the 70 to 200 f2.8. So to be able to have 24 to 200 all in 2.8s is just absolutely staggering for the price. I mean, you would have to buy so many lenses to be able to have all those focal lengths at a 2.8. I just think it's really cool. Now, the next leap forward would be if they can fit a 1.8 inside of a zoom lens. I don't know if that'll ever happen because the glass would be gigantic. But that, for me, was a game changer because now I can literally carry one lens. And if I know my lens and I know what I'm doing, right? For example, I like to shoot my portraits at either 50 or 70. I'm not a huge 85 guy in terms of portrait. I think it expands the face a little bit too much. Unless you're shooting with like a super skinny subject, it tends like a kid or something. Maybe if I was shooting with someone under the age of 8, maybe I could see like an 85. But for most adults, I think 50 to 70 is a sweet spot. And you just don't need much else. So if I know that I'm shooting a portrait, you know, I'm going to drop down to 50 or I'm going to go to 70 and just don't touch it. I think an inexperienced photographer maybe would have trouble with zooming, and that's where maybe those primes are a little bit more powerful. But in terms of a trained eye, knowing what you're trying to go for, I mean, it's just incredible to be able to drop one lens on and I can do everything I want to do. And then my last point with this is, with this Sony cameras, you talked about the Sony cameras, being able to switch from full frame to APS-C crop sensor mode on the full frame Sonys is an absolute game changer, because now you have a full frame 24 to 70, and then in APS-C mode you have something like a 35 to 105. So you've got essentially a 24 to 105 lens with just one lens, which is absolutely awesome. So those are my thoughts on it. I'm all about the lens. If you give me decent autofocus, but not that great autofocus, and you give me a really good zoom lens, I should be able to get something.
Lenses can make or break it.
I'm an 85 girl, though, I will say that. I shot on that Canon EOS 3 with a Canon 85 millimeter lens with this beautiful bokeh in the background for this outdoor shoot. It was just like, it was like something magical happened for me, and I just like absolutely fell in love with it.
Some people love 85s, and I have no problem with that. I respect that.
But I do agree with the zoom lenses being like so convenient, and the fact that I can save, you know, $5,000, you know, not having to buy the 50, the 85, the 70 to 200, the 18 to 35 or whatever it is, like, because those are all the lenses I need. Like having to buy one or maybe two lenses, like one wide angle and one,
Right.
I don't know what the word is, zoom lens.
Telephoto.
Telephoto, thank you. That's
Or portrait.
I know
Some
that
people
word.
say portrait lens. It's a
portrait lenses.
lens.
Yeah. Having to do that is just like so much more convenient.
Yeah. The 85 can be magical. I'm not even going to lie. It's just not my preference. If I'm going to go that much compression, I'm more like a 135 guy. But I'm usually shooting kids with that because your background is just going to be completely like a creamy wash.
It is.
Like there's no information
Very
back
much.
there.
That's why I liked it in the outdoor setting because it made it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, golden hour. The light was coming through the back of the trees, and then it was like slightly changing colors, and so it was just like
85
it was a
girl.
great day. It was a great shooting day.
Maybe that's your nickname on the show, 85 girl.
85 girl.
85 mil. All right, so we want to wrap up with just one last question for you guys. And this question is not on here, it's actually on here. Don't flip to it, thank you. TikTok ban. There's a lot of rumors going around that TikTok is going to be banned. We're on the subject of social media marketing. Should people be investing in TikTok? Should they hedge their bets with TikTok? Do you think TikTok will be banned? Let's start with Teddy.
Gosh. It seems like it will be. I know that a lot of like universities and college campuses are trying to, ban it, or if they haven't, at least like from employees using it. I don't know if you can keep students from using it, but employees and stuff like that. And it just sounds like a lot of lawmakers are going in that direction. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's a waste of investment again, like what you create, TikTok is you can use for reels and all that. But as far as like, do I think it will? I mean, it's looking like that potentially can happen. Just with the tension between the U.S. and China.
Okay.
I'd have to agree. Do I want it banned? No, not necessarily, and that's just coming from like a content creator perspective. Like for me, different social media platforms are important for our business and personal aspirations, and it can just like just coming from like a day and age to where you literally had to like get your work out through word of mouth and had no other way, to coming into social media era to where I can literally post my content that I'm creating instantly on multiple platforms. Like I would be a little bummed if it got banned, but I understand why with the issues that we're having with China, like why we would shut it down and all that stuff. I just think it would be unfortunate, even though I don't have it on my phone. Like that kind of sounds like, there's like two sides to it. Like I have to moderate my use, but
Yeah. I personally don't think it will get banned. I think we'll come close to it getting banned. But the reason why I don't think it will get banned is because as long as there's a capitalism opportunity, especially when you're talking about in the billions of dollars, I just don't think it will get banned. I think if this is a Chinese company and their audience base is made up, let's say 40% of U.S. humans, and, I don't know what the revenue, let's say, 60% of the U.S. base generates revenue for the company. I don't know what that would amount to, but let's just say hypothetically it amounts to $2 billion. I think they will find a way to keep it available to its consumer base. And so if that means a U.S. company acquiring it, or some law being passed that makes an exception for certain types of content to be streamed over to the United States, I think they will find a way to keep it accessible to the U.S. I do think we will get close to a ban, or maybe it will be temporarily banned, but I think long term, a platform like TikTok will continue to prevail. And I don't think my opinion on that is that far-fetched, right? Because TikTok started off as like Vine and some of those other platforms. And so it just keeps reincarnating itself. Even if it fails, they find another way to repurpose it and make it useful again. So it's just my opinion on it. I know it's not popular. There's a lot of people that would say, the content is, it's not restricted enough, but we need a platform where people are free to express themselves. And that's why Facebook got into a lot of trouble, with the politics and stuff like that. We need a platform where it's kind of self-regulating. It's just like Apple and Android. We need Apple, but we also need Android, this more open source version of phones. So, so it's been a great topic, great conversations today. I think hopefully the viewers have gotten something out of it today. Any plugs, any promotions, anything you want to say before we wrap up today's show?
Nope.
I mean, I could drop it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
There will be the Vintage Fashion Show this Saturday night at 6 p.m. at the Culture House. So if you're free, stop by.
Why are you so passionate about this show? I don't understand.
Not only am I a part of the show,
Part of it.
I'm not trying to get you out there to see me. I'm just saying that there's some really incredible designers and some people that are looking to get themselves out there. And the Culture House has just been a big part of my life recently because it's your hub for all things art. So I think you should check out the space. It's a great company.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think that's a fair plug. I'm going to slide one plug in. Let me just go ahead and drop this down. I'm wearing a shirt that I designed. It's called Creative Advisory Dope Content. And this shirt is going to be available for you to purchase if you so please. Hit me up. My social media handle is Groovy Barnes. GROOVYBARNES, and I will plug you in to be able to get a copy of this shirt. We're headed into the winter months. It's a little chilly outside. You know what? Why not wear a sweater with a little swag? Teddy's, I saw a little bit of salivating going on. Teddy looks like he wants a copy of the shirt, so you should want a copy too. All right, and that's it for today's episode of Content Parlor. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, special guests, and we'll see you guys on the next one.